Coming up on News Center 16 at 5.
The widespread storm that rocked all of Michiana overnight leaves 2 people dead. We hear from a mother whose son was in the room when his friend was killed by a falling tree.
Plus, the cleanup is on. Michiana has the most storm damage we've seen in a long time after we were socked by straight-line winds. Hear from some of those who have a lot of work ahead of them over the next few days.
And are you ready for some football? Americans are gathered all across the country right now to watch the most anticipated U.S. soccer game ever. We're at one of those watch parties in Elkhart.
And with drier air now sweeping into Michiana, there are no storms on 16 Doppler Max, but will it stay that way? I'll have my forecast just ahead.
From WNDU, your breaking news and weather authority, this is News Center 16 at 5.
An overnight of frayed nerves, lost sleep, and widespread damage in every part of Michiana.
A line of deadly storms rails our area tonight. The cleanup is just beginning as we assess the damage and deal with Mother Nature's wrath. Good evening, I'm Maureen McFadden.
And I'm Terry McFadden. The storms left many around Michiana with downed trees and damage to their homes, and have tens of thousands of us still without power tonight.
Here's a look at some of the power numbers. AEP is reporting over 50,000 people without power in the Michiana area. 20,000 of those are in St. Joseph County. NIPSCO is reporting 21,000 people without power in Michiana, with 8,000 in Goshen. Midwest Energy says around 5,800 people are in the dark. The company says power should be restored by Friday. A teen is dead after a tree fell on a home early this morning in Kosciuszko County. Police identify him as 14-year-old Daniel Raymond Holbrook. Holbrook was in the front bedroom with another boy when a tree fell. The other boy suffered minor injuries.
Now, 2 others were in the home as well. They were not hurt. News Center 16's Christine Karsten was on the scene all morning long and talked to the woman whose son was in the bedroom and made it out alive.
All of a sudden the wind picked up, it started pouring rain, trees started going everywhere. It shook my trailer a little bit. It sounded like a small tornado.
Widespread damage, downed power lines, and power outages were reported all across Michiana from the severe storm that passed through just after midnight. And this storm was deadly.
I found out that the 13-year-old boy that lived there had passed away, and that really broke my heart. He was a good boy. He was good to my son. I just feel sorry for the family, and they're in my prayers, and I couldn't imagine nothing like this.
But she almost had to. Her son was in the same bedroom where the tree fell. Luckily, he made it out.
My son started banging on the door, and I about lost it.
That could have been your son.
I know, and I'm lucky he got out with scrapes, and that's it.
As for the family who live next door, it's scary how similar their stories could have been.
You couldn't really see it, but that's my kid's room.
Oh my gosh. Brandy Talawit says when the storm hit, she felt like someone picked up her trailer and hit it.
I couldn't hear my other son, so I started to panic. And then by that time I could hear him a little bit yelling, "Mom, I'm stuck, I can't get out."
Stuck because the same tree crashed through the roof of her kid's bedroom.
My one son came out by himself. He was like on the other side of the room, and my oldest son was stuck. He was pinned, and my husband got in there and got him out. I thought my kids had died in there. They got out of there by the grace of God.
Christine Karsten, News Center 16.
Holbrook's autopsy was scheduled for today, but could be moved to tomorrow because of power outages.
And sadly, there was another person killed in Michiana during the overnight storms after a tree fell on his LaGrange County home. It happened in the 9700 block of East County Road 520 South near Big Long Lake. The man's wife called 911 around 1:30 this morning, saying a tree fell on her home and she couldn't find her husband. When firefighters got to her house, they found her husband, 64-year-old Larry Davison, dead beneath the tree. An excavator had to be called to help remove the 90-foot tree from the home.
South Bend was one of the hardest hit areas during last night's storm. Falling trees caused some serious damage to homes, cars, and other property, particularly in the Harder Heights neighborhood near Notre Dame. Storm Team 16's Megan Hickey is live in South Bend with a look at some of that damage. And Megan, what's that behind you?
Terry, I'm on the corner of St. Joseph and Piashway. You can see this street is completely blocked off by the crews in this area. There was actually a very large tree leaning into a home just on this corner, so they've been working for a long time trying to get that down. And unfortunately, this is not an unfamiliar scene in South Bend. Trees have been falling on houses, other property, on cars, and they've been falling on electrical wires as well, and that's what's causing the widespread power outages that we're seeing across the area. Massive trees, some 60 or 70 feet tall, seem to be the greatest casualty of the storm, and when these trees came crashing down, they left a path of destruction. Crews are working to clear streets that have been blocked with debris, while many homeowners assess the damages to their houses, cars, and yards. Many residents said this was the worst storm they'd experienced in their lifetimes.
Destroyed the Prius. I'm not sure how much damage to the van, and the pickup truck has a limb through the windshield. Could have been the house, could have been falling the other way. So count your blessings.
That one, if you look at it on the other side, you can see cracks in the trunk of it where it's twisted like that, where it looks like it actually, like you grabbed a hold of it and just twisted the thing off.
Without a doubt, the worst thing I've experienced in 35 years of living here, no question.
Now, the Streets Department has stopped all yard waste and scheduled extra item pickups for the remainder of the week. They're working to clear the streets first, the primary streets, and then get to those secondary streets, and they're hoping to have that done by Thursday. That's the goal.
Yeah, you got to get the streets open, but Megan, what are folks supposed to do with all those down limbs that seem to be littering everyone's yards?
Right, so they're supposed to bring those limbs to the curb, and obviously that's easier said than done in some circumstances over others. In some cases, people can't move the trees because they're so large. In other circumstances, they have to pull them from their cars, from their windshields. So this is obviously a very labor-intensive and costly storm, Terry.
Right, and but if folks do get them to the curb, the city at some point, when they get the time, will pick them up, correct?
Right, they will be picking them up, and they're hoping to get that done as soon as they can in time for this 4th of July weekend.
All right, Megan Hickey reporting live tonight from South Bend's northeast side. Megan, thanks. Well, it's been a long time since we've seen such strong storms affect just about every corner of Michiana. Mike Hoffman was on the air all night, it seems, and he was tracking that severe weather as it blew across the area. And he joins us now with a closer look at what caused all the damage. Mike?
Well, Terry, we started off yesterday afternoon, and if you remember at 5 and 6, we talked about the potential for widespread damage in this situation, not the spotty damage we've been seeing over the past couple of years and so far this season, although we did believe it would probably be this first line of storms that would cause it. They were powerful already and intensifying. It was the heating of the day already. It was hot and humid ahead of the line, but watch what happens as it sweeps into Michiana after 9 p.m. tomorrow evening. This line just tends to go away. It did cause some spotty damage, but it's the second one then coming into already cooler air. Typically, these lines will weaken overnight in this situation because it's cool out ahead of it, left over from the previous storms, but this one did not. This one had enough upper air energy to continue to blast eastward. It moved east at 60 miles an hour, which means you're going to get 60 to 70 mile per hour winds all along the front, and in some cases we had 80 mile per hour winds in parts of the front. There's midnight. We were just seeing the gust front right there. That's that blast of wind coming out from the initial thunderstorms. That intensifies as it comes into South Bend, 1245 or so into Mishawaka, up and down the US 31 corridor. These were all strong winds ahead of the main line, but there were strong winds behind this initial blast as well, which is kind of unusual, but sometimes you do get that. And then by 1:15 a.m. it was moving through central and eastern Elkhart and Kosciuszko counties, and it was exiting our area by 1:45 or so, and then watch what happens. It just kind of goes away. So we were the worst hit out of that. They did have some pretty severe damage across northern Illinois as well, but the winds got stronger as they actually came into Indiana. Here's what we're looking at right now. 16 Doppler max showing absolutely nothing out there, but will that continue? I'll have my forecast coming up.
Thanks, Mike. Our Storm Team 16 coverage continues in Elkhart County. Straight line winds and heavy rain tore through the area, leaving substantial damage to homes and yards in parts of the county. Let's go to Storm Team 16's Tricia Hart, who is live in Elkhart County. And Trish, looks like there's a lot left to be cleaned up.
Maureen, there is. I'm in a neighborhood off of County Road 3 in Elkhart where a lot of the homes have trees down and property damage. Here, one of those trees is lifted up by its roots from the ground. The family has cut away a lot of the branches and cleared the roadway, but this stump is going to last for a while. And 10 minutes away from where we are here in Elkhart County is the city of Elkhart, where they've suffered significantly less damage than some of the surrounding areas. Now, there are some reports of trees down on homes in the city, but driving around town today, there is way less debris, leaves, and branches in the town than in the surrounding county area. Elkhart Building and Grounds Department was called in at around 3 a.m. once the storm had completely passed through the area. Since then, a team of 10 people has been trimming branches and clearing the right-of-way for traffic. Officials told me they hope to have all the roads completely cleared by 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, there may still be some branches and debris on the sidewalks, but the big picture that they wanted to focus on today was eliminating those low-hanging branches and anything that might have already been knocked down or could fall down in the future from this storm.
We were expecting this coming in. It was looking like a pretty good-sized storm was coming through, and with as much rain as we've had this June, we've kind of all been on guard anyway. I didn't really anticipate this much damage. I don't know anybody that did, but I was counting on getting woken up in the middle of the night. We didn't get it as bad here in the city as the county and Goshen had. We've mostly got hit on the southwest side here along Lusher and Fieldhouse in the teens.
Now, just around the corner from here, a trampoline is in the front yard of someone's house. It had tumbled down the road and flipped over there. Now, clearly, Elkhart County, the southwestern side of the city of Elkhart, and Goshen had the brunt of this storm impact them. I'll have much more on a specific neighborhood and Goshen that's going to be dealing with the aftermath for weeks to come tonight at 6. Maureen?
Okay, Trish, and obviously that stump behind you can't be easily moved, but should people be piling the debris toward the sidewalks?
Well, the street department officials that I talked to today said that if you have debris on your lawn, you should stack it up near the sidewalk and not put it in the street. You risk blocking up traffic and taking up parking spots. Having it in the street won't get it picked up any quicker. So if you have a grassy patch beyond the sidewalk, don't put it in the street, put it there, or keep it on your yard until they can come and clean it up.
Okay, good to know. Tricia Hart live, thank you. And stay with Storm Team 16 for continuing coverage of this storm that struck all of Michiana. Coming up at 5:30, we go to Plymouth, Warsaw, Mishawaka, and back to South Bend for a look at some of the widespread damage and how people are cleaning up.
Well, the eyes of many people across our country are currently locked on Brazil, where the U.S. is playing Belgium in the most anticipated soccer game in U.S. history. There are watch parties for the World Cup game all across our great land this afternoon. And that includes downtown Elkhart, where News Center 16's Barbara Harrington is tonight. And Babs, what's the atmosphere like there?
Well, you know, Terry, I got here and I was about the only person not decked out from head to toe in red, white, and blue. So someone came and decided I needed to flaunt the American flag. And there are so many people out here decked out in USA gear, people with their faces painted. They are so excited to see the team make it this far. Now, the second half just got underway a few minutes ago. So all eyes are glued on the giant LED billboard that is out here. Get this, it's an 8.5 by 21-foot screen, a unique opportunity for people to come out, watch the game here in downtown Elkhart and cheer their team on. Now, there has been a little bit of smack talk about European soccer being superior to American soccer, and they are hoping, all the fans out here tonight, that we can prove them wrong and that the United States will be victorious in the second half of the game.
We deserve to be here. That's a big part of it. And so our group of death, is so it's called, we escaped it, and I think we're ready to play.
To make it this far, nobody thought they would make it this far, so big surprise, great surprise.
There are even some kids out here playing soccer right now. That's how excited, how much World Cup fever that everyone has caught here in Michiana. Now, again, people hoping that we can make it past this stage this time around, but they're just excited to have seen the United States get this far this year when so many people weren't expecting that. And there's already talk about bringing this screen out here again this weekend, depending on how tonight's event goes. There's over 100 people out here tonight, so a great turnout and a beautiful night for it.
Yeah, and Barbara, after last night's storms and stuff, I imagine a lot of folks just wanted a diversion from what was really kind of a loud, scary night.
I think that's exactly right, Terry. A lot of people are getting out here after the stress of last night and cleaning up today and just enjoying some time with their families on a much more beautiful day than what we experienced last night.
All right. Reporting live from Elkhart, it's Lady Liberty. Give us an update tonight at 6, okay, Barbara?
And a 4th of July weekend tradition continues this Saturday with the biggest motocross race in the nation, and it all happens right here in Michiana. Crews were working on the track up at Red Bud this afternoon in Buchanan, preparing for 25,000 to 30,000 fans swelling onto the property for Saturday's Red Bud National. Fans begin to arrive tomorrow night, and track officials say they're happy they came out of last night's storm pretty much unscathed.
The storm was really, really gnarly last night, and the only thing I was thinking was glad there wasn't a bunch of campers up here because it was pretty bad. The rain hurt a lot of stuff. The wash tore some stuff up. We lost some trees, but sounds like it's a lot better than everybody around the neighborhood. So we still have power, which is great. We can keep working and keep answering the phones, and we'll be good from there on out. We'll keep the moisture in it, and looks like the forecast is stacking up pretty good.
And Saturday's main event race will air live here on WNDU starting at 3 p.m. If you're interested in attending in person, we have ticket information at WNDU.com. Just click on the big red bar.
Preparing you for inconvenient weather with a color-coded forecast. Storm Team 16 is your weather authority.
Well, that's a nice look compared to last night. You can see the deeper blue sky, less humidity in the air, 83 degrees right now overlooking South Bend. That's a view from our WNDU stations here. And look at the relative humidity, 46%. Last night at this time it was almost 70%, so it has come down substantially, and it will continue to come down. West-southwesterly wind right now at 22 miles per hour. Here are the temperatures. I'm not sure why our computer's missing a few, but they're all pretty much the same. We're all in the low 80s at this point with a couple of spots kind of mid 80s right along the lakeshore, a little bit cooler. Benton Harbor's at 78. Now tomorrow you're going to be a fair amount cooler than the rest of us right along Lake Michigan because the winds will be out of the northwest instead of the southwest. 16 Doppler max showing nice dry conditions out there, so we do not have to worry about any more storms across Michiana for the next several days for a change. I don't think I've been able to say that since the summer started. Definitely not during the month of June, which ended up being the third wettest June ever across Michiana. Now you can see a few showers, light brief showers across northern portions of the plains. Those could come in here tomorrow, but a lot of us will still stay dry tomorrow. Here's what the future looks like with 16 Future Track. There's the first cold front moving on south of the Ohio River. Still some thunderstorms down that way as we head into the evening, but that's long gone from here. That's the front that actually caused our big storms last night. Most of us stay dry tonight. Could be a sprinkle after midnight in places. Cold front by 7 a.m. to about Milwaukee. It sweeps in by about noon tomorrow, so midday and afternoon could be a brief shower where you live, but a lot of us will probably stay dry. That front will move on by. That's even cooler and drier air sweeping in. Clouds might still start in our sky on 7 a.m. Thursday, but quickly becoming sunny. These showers north of this high pressure system should stay there as we head into the early part of the weekend. High pressure dominates our weather, but if you're heading toward the East Coast, this is Tropical Storm Arthur. Might even be a minimal hurricane by the time it hits the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The first part of the 4th of July. So that's not good timing for that storm, but if you're heading to the east, keep an eye on that one just to see exactly where that's headed. Here's my Storm Team 16 forecast for all of Michiana for tonight. More pleasant this evening, partly cloudy and even cooler later tonight, low down to 62. 7-day planning forecast, a bit cooler tomorrow morning, more comfortable throughout the day. Could be a brief shower midday or afternoon, so barely a yellow day tomorrow. High temperature of only 70. Thursday, cooler to start, bright sunshine throughout the day. Nice green day there, very pleasant with a high of 72 and a low temperature of 51 on the 4th of July. So that's almost chilly at breakfast time, but keep the sunglasses handy. It's going to be a star-spangled day. High temperature of 75 degrees. Beautiful day on Saturday as well, sunny and 78. Partly sunny and 80 on Sunday. Slight chance of a thunderstorm late in the day or in the evening, and then a little better chance for a thunderstorm or two early next week as temperatures hit about 82 degrees. So at least after these bad storms moved through last night, we do have several days of nice weather finally coming our way.
Yeah, and you know, I live out in the county. We didn't have any damage, at least out where I am. Driving into South Bend today was really bizarre.
Yeah, most of the city has trees down all over. I still don't have power. You don't have power, so we hope to get some soon anyway.
Well, we're going to be moving out of the county.
Come to my house. I'm usually the one without power.
That's true.
Well, it's a question that's crossed the minds of every parent with young kids. Just how safe are the shots your kids are getting?
The debate over vaccines has raged on for decades. Now there's a large review of data that backs previous findings that those shots are indeed safe for children. The Rand Corporation looked at studies conducted since the last large vaccine review in 2011 and even included data excluded from that report. It found the measles, mumps, rubella, or MMR vaccine not linked to autism. They also found strong evidence that the MMR, as well as the tetanus and hepatitis B vaccines, are not associated with childhood leukemia. They did find some adverse events, like a serious intestine disorder linked to the rotavirus vaccine. These reports are rare.
Coming up, important news for the men and women who served our country in Iraq and Afghanistan and the many who loved them.
We look at the high rate of suicides in veterans and what doctors are doing to help those who served avoid that awful fate. Next in the Medical Moment.
The latest health news for you and your family. This is Maureen's Medical Moment.
It's a stark and sad number for all Americans. Every day, 22 veterans kill themselves. What's being done to help them as they return from the horrors of war in today's Medical Moment? We often hear about soldiers killed in combat, but what about those who take their own lives? One survey conducted by the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America found a startling 30% of service members have considered suicide. It's a complex problem that's on the rise. Corporal Michael Jernigan is proud of his service in Iraq, but it came at a price.
I'm the first U.S. service member to lose both eyes in the global war on terror.
Michael's Humvee drove into a roadside bomb. He lost his eyes and 2 fingers, damaged his hand and knee, and crushed his skull. He had 30 surgeries in 1 year.
There are times that I laid in a hospital bed and I wish that I would have died on the street in Iraq.
Michael was able to bounce back, but many aren't. Every day, 22 veterans kill themselves. That's a suicide every 65 minutes.
22 a day is far too many.
UCLA Dr. Patrick Link says suicide rates went up for both deployed and non-deployed service members since 2004.
A surprisingly large number of soldiers are coming into the Army with psychiatric problems.
About 1 in 4 soldiers suffers from at least one psychiatric problem, and about 1/3 of attempted suicides are associated with mental disorders before joining the Army. Other risk factors: being male, being white, a low rank, and a low education level. Link says better screening and support for managing stress are needed.
Ideally, you would like to have people be so resilient to stress that it actually improves their lives instead of makes them worse.
Michael co-founded a program called Pause for Patriots to help place service dogs like Brittany with veterans. Now he helps the 22 Kill Initiative raise awareness about veteran suicide.
We try to support them, empower them.
Even though he's had his share of hard times, Michael says he wouldn't change it.
The whole thing, I'd do it all over again. I really would.
Suicide rates among those who served in Iraq and Afghanistan were roughly 30 per 100,000. Compare that to rates for civilian suicides in the same age and demographics, which were about 19 per 100,000. The study also found women have lower suicide rates than men in the Army, except during deployments. To read the research summary for today's story, you can go to WNDU.com and click on the Medical Moment.